The news every retired Canadian has been waiting for has finally arrived. After years of frustration, months of debate, and countless petitions sent to Ottawa, seniors are now seeing a breakthrough moment, one that could change how they live, how they budget, and how they look ahead to retirement security. Tonight, we are talking about 4 major updates, 4 pieces of good news, touching the very core of Canada's retirement system: the Canada Pension Plan, Old Age Security, the Guaranteed Income Supplement, and key changes from the Canada Revenue Agency that may mean more money in the pockets of those who need it most. For decades, seniors across Canada have voiced the same concerns: fixed incomes that cannot keep up with rising costs. The grocery bill that once seemed manageable now eats up half of a pension check. Rent, heating, prescription medications, expenses that climb year after year while benefits remain frozen in time. Stories of seniors rationing food, skipping doses of medication, or turning to food banks have shaken communities, leaving many to wonder, how can a country as wealthy as Canada allow its elders to struggle in silence? The first development is with the Canada Pension Plan. Sources in Ottawa suggest a permanent adjustment is being implemented, an increase pegged to inflation, but weighted more heavily this year due to extraordinary cost of living spikes. A senior who once received around $1,350 per month may now see closer to $1,480 starting this fall. For some, that extra $130 could be the difference between paying the hydro bill and falling behind. Economists argue this is a modest adjustment when compared to the relentless rise in prices, but advocacy groups are calling it a lifeline. The second major update comes with old age security. Traditionally, OAS has been adjusted quarterly, but with inflation hitting seniors harder than any other demographic, the government is introducing a one-time bonus top-up in early 2026. Officials have hinted at an amount near $600 for single seniors and $950 for couples, arriving directly into bank accounts, money meant to cushion the shock of inflation. Critics worry this is a temporary band-aid, a headline-grabbing check that fades too quickly. But for seniors like Mary Thompson of Winnipeg, who has lived on OAS alone since her husband's passing, even a short-term boost could mean a stocked fridge instead of another month of empty cupboards. The third update, the most crucial for the poorest Canadians, involves the Guaranteed Income Supplement. For seniors at the lowest income levels, GIS is the last shield against poverty. And now, it appears that threshold is shifting upward. Eligibility is being expanded, with the income cutoff raised by roughly $2,500. That means thousands of low-income seniors, many of whom have been denied by just a few dollars, may now qualify. The monthly increase for those already receiving GIS could reach as high as $90, with retroactive payments under review. Critics warn this may encourage dependency, but supporters counter with a blunt reality: seniors are not looking for handouts, they are simply trying to survive with dignity. The fourth and final development may surprise many. It comes not from pensions, but from the Canada Revenue Agency. In what is being described as a quiet revolution, the CRA is simplifying tax credits for seniors, merging several existing deductions into one streamlined benefit. The new system could automatically apply credits without complicated paperwork, ensuring seniors receive money they previously missed. Early estimates suggest the average senior could see $400 to $700 back at tax time, cash that often went unclaimed due to bureaucratic red tape. For families supporting aging parents, this measure could relieve pressure, offering a little more flexibility at a time when intergenerational costs are at their peak. Taken together, these 4 updates are being called the most significant reforms to senior benefits in more than a decade. Supporters describe them as overdue recognition of the sacrifices older Canadians made to build the country. Critics, however, remain cautious, raising questions about sustainability. Can Ottawa afford to expand benefits when the federal deficit already stretches into the tens of billions? Will younger taxpayers be asked to carry a heavier burden? And will these measures stand the test of time, or fade with the next shift in government priorities? But for now, the response among seniors is clear. Relief. For a widow in Nova Scotia who has been living off tea and toast, for a retired factory worker in Ontario who postponed dental surgery he could not afford, for grandparents across the prairies who quietly give part of their pensions to struggling children and grandchildren, this news is more than policy. It is hope. The timeline is already unfolding. CPP increases are slated for the fall. OAS top-ups could land in early 2026. GIS expansion is expected in the next federal budget cycle, with details emerging this winter. And CRA's streamlined credit system is projected to appear on tax forms as early as spring 2026. For millions of Canadians, the countdown has begun. Yet even in this moment of optimism, the uncertainty lingers. Will these promises be fully realized, or trimmed in the name of fiscal responsibility? Will seniors see lasting security, or another cycle of temporary relief? The questions hang heavy in the air, but the significance cannot be overstated. For the first time in years, seniors are hearing news that uplifts rather than diminishes. There is another way to view these announcements, through the eyes of the next generation. For years, younger Canadians have quietly carried a fear that their parents and grandparents would outlive their savings. It's not just seniors who feel the pinch when benefits fall short. Adult children often step in, covering groceries, paying utility bills, or moving aging parents into already crowded households. These new changes to CPP, OAS, GIS, and CRA credits ripple far beyond retirement homes. They directly influence the financial stability of entire families. Consider a middle-class family in Toronto. The daughter works 2 jobs, her husband drives for a delivery service, and yet much of their disposable income goes toward supporting her retired mother. Every month they top up her pension by $400, money that could have gone to their children's education fund or paying down their mortgage. With the announced adjustments, that family may suddenly breathe easier. For them, a $130 monthly increase in CPP or a $600 OAS bonus is not abstract policy, it is relief from a cycle of financial strain passed across generations. Critics, however, warn of what they call a looming demographic storm. Canada's population is aging rapidly. By 2030, nearly 1 in 4 Canadians will be over 65. Expanding benefits now may feel generous, but some economists question how sustainable this path really is. Will today's working-age Canadians end up paying higher taxes tomorrow to fund today's promises? That uncertainty is fueling a quiet debate behind the headlines, one that pits fiscal prudence against immediate compassion. Supporters respond by reminding us of history. In the post-war years, Canada made a commitment that after decades of hard work, Canadians would retire with security and dignity. Seniors built the roads, schools, and industries that today's workforce depends on. To deny them adequate support in their later years, they argue, would be a betrayal of that promise. And when seniors have more spending power, it often flows back into the economy. Local grocery stores, pharmacies, small businesses, all benefit when pensions rise. The conversation also highlights a stark divide between urban and rural Canada. In major cities like Vancouver or Toronto, even a boosted pension may feel like a drop in the bucket against sky-high rent and housing costs. A 1-bedroom apartment can easily cost $2,000 a month, far above the combined CPP and OAS of many retirees. But in smaller towns, where costs are lower, these new measures could mean real comfort. A retiree in Moncton, for example, might cover rent, groceries, and utilities with a little left over for savings or a modest trip to see grandchildren. And so tonight, as Canadians weigh the meaning of these 4 updates, one thing is undeniable: a message has been sent to every senior from coast to coast to coast, that their struggles have been heard, their dignity matters, and that even in times of political division and economic strain, the promise of security in old age still holds power in this country. Because in the end, these changes are not only about pensions, checks, or credits. They are about respect. About acknowledging decades of contribution and ensuring that in the final chapters of life, Canadians are not left to suffer in silence. And whether these measures prove lasting or fleeting, they mark a turning point, a rare moment of recognition for those who built the foundation of the nation. The story of CPP, OAS, GIS, and the CRA is still unfolding. But for seniors, and for the families who love them, this is good news, perhaps the best in years.